Hello. Hello? Yeah, it's up. So, on to today's scripts, my babies. There are two of them. First one is some people teach you how to swim in shit, while others teach you how to get out of shit. Uh, I'm definitely reflecting on advice that I was given, or at least that's the vibe I got. Again, this shit's like 9 months old. It's fucking intense. But so the idea is it beware the advice you're given, or what exactly are you learning from the people you're learning from? Well, let's put it into context. People are still teaching you, but they're teaching you how to swim in your shit. The truth is, you're still in shit, but at the very least, you're doing something else in it, right? It's just a reflection of how we see productivity. Funny, I yesterday, 2 days ago, I was talking to a guy that is also basically like on the entrepreneurship journey. For the past 7 years, this guy has basically built 5 apps, but not has not been able to go to market with one of them, with a single one. And I was having the conversation with him, and effectively, there's he clearly see the threshold that he has to break. But it's funny because like all I heard were the excuses for why he wasn't basically able to take a step forward with them. And he's amassed like investment. He was able to find people to invest in him and all that shit. Super interesting because in a way, everything he's attempted over the past like 7 years of his journey or more, whatever, has always been in order for him to be doing what he's doing. It's like his foresight when it came to progress was non-existent, right? It was negligent. His entire goal was simply to just be working on this kind of stuff. Way too way too passionate about the building process instead of the building part of the process instead of the whole process. So the reason I'm using him as a direct reflection right now, it's because it's just like that circular motion where you start something new and then you go around, but it never actually completes itself. But you kind of complete the you complete the activity that makes you feel like you're doing that you're being productive, that makes you feel like you're bringing something to life. And so in this example, I go like they teach you how to swim and shit because ultimately we only listen when we're in a position that we are starting to accept as a vulnerable position or a position that we're not comfortable in. So the idea is if somebody comes and gives you advice and you're kind of like high on life, you just nod your head and be like, yeah, amazing. The same advice when you're in a different state of mind, like when you're in a lower state of vibration, let's just say, probably will hit differently. Most probably will hit differently. So effectively, it's still affecting you positively. Because when people mean well, it doesn't necessarily mean it's for your benefit. And that's for you to make that decision. Sadly, though, we're only open to listening to others, specifically like to others that have something to say or have something meaningful to say, is when we are trying to get out of the shit that we're in. And the worst thing about it is when we're kind of like when we're desperate to cling to anything that makes us feel like we're moving becomes relevant to us. So I think that's something that's the core of what I'm trying to say here. Because how do you separate between the people that are teaching you how to swim in your own shit? They're teaching you something new. They're kind of like making you feel like you're doing something different. The truth is you're still kind of like within the same like realm, within the same kind of like scope of the crap that you're in. It's just you're no longer stuck in your shit. It's just like you're going around it. While on the other side, you kind of like are these people that kind of like teach you how to get out of your shit. And I think that's scarier because if I am raising my capabilities within what I know, it's still within the comfort zone. But if I'm getting out of what I know, are they really teaching me something new? Because if within the comfort zone, whatever I'm learning from them, I'm able to see the difference with what I'm doing and what they're doing. And that's probably a bias that we have as individuals. Because like once you're looking at something, you kind of like want to compare it to something directly. But getting out of shit completely means you're stepping into something completely new, right? Like ultimately just a chance for you to be clean, which means you kind of have to like let go or you have to wash off a whole lot of things. And that seems to be more of a position of vulnerability than an actual like than you being. So you being in shit is a vulnerable position, but it's your shit. We have an Arabic expression that says "dik mazbaltu sayyeh," which literally means if you put basically a rooster, and even if he has five chickens, he would stand at the top, even if they're around a trash can, and he'd be like, "Arr, arr, 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 arr," and that's basically like, I am the king of this area. And that's what I'm talking about because like you're swimming in shit, but being able to move in that shit gives you kind of like that illusion of control. So you're in control in the shit that you're in. But when you get out of the shit, what effectively you're doing is relinquishing that control. And so these are all like psychological approaches that we subconsciously or consciously take in order for us to feel like we're in charge. Well, well, the only way we can be in charge, or actually the only way we're not vulnerable is when we're not in charge. We would feel vulnerable, but the truth is we won't be vulnerable. Yeah, there's a difference between feeling vulnerable and being vulnerable. Being exposed to something new is basically, it is probably because we can't handle in our current state the potential that could happen. And that's because all we see is the current state. So effectively moving from one state to another, which is basically like being in the ship in this description, I guess, in the shit and moving into another space, which basically either could be new shit or just no shit at all, or whatever it is, eventually we find our way to make a mess out of where we are, right? Isn't that like our nature? It's like, oh, okay, a new place, suddenly there's a comfort zone there. And then, fuck me, man, once there's a comfort zone over there, then you feel like, oh, and what's the next step? And what's the next step? And what's the next step? Really, how do you differentiate between the people that are actually teaching you something life-changing that alters the way you live your life versus people that teach you something that kind of like, I want to use the word stabilize, but stabilize, I use it for positive things. Concretize, make it concrete, concretize, that basically like cement you and the way you're living. And the only things I could that pop into my head are basically like the people that give you advice that are not really within that are not really looking at the same world that you are looking at, that don't really have that same aspiration, vision, that are not really in a position you want to be in. And I think when they give you advice and you listen to it, most of the time what we end up doing is we kind of like use that advice to create a loop for ourselves. But with somebody who's actually growing and like becoming better and like is actually in a place where you would want to be, And that advice, any way they say it, is basically advice coming from, let's just say, a different pile of shit than you're in. And that effectively are those effectively are the people that take you out of your shit. It's kind of sweet that everyone really genuinely maybe is trying to like help and support. And if you look at the fact that they're always trying to like to look out for you, then at the very least you'll be able to be like, no, are they look is that kind of looking out for me beneficial for me or not? If we take that everyone is going to teach you something, then ultimately we'll be able to reflect from where are they trying to teach us and whether that's relevant for whatever it is that I'm trying to do or whatever it is there, whatever I want, wherever I want to be. And I feel that's what this script is talking about. Isn't it fun to read your own shit, man, and go like, whoa? All right, baby. It's a video.